You suck! Oh my God!
This is What the Suck podcast. I'm James.
And I'm Chris.
And welcome to another wonderful episode.
Yay.
This week's masterpiece is going to be a movie called Like a Bat Out of Hell, a.k.a. Nowhere Else. It is what is this thing? It's a 2013 film about a young group of avid documentary filmmakers who are sent to shoot in the vast extremes of the southern Australian wilderness. They end up in a place called Nowhere Else, hence the title. What transpires there is devastatingly like nothing else on Earth. Bum, bum, bum.
So we already have a discrepancy because according to IMDb, it says it's 2013, but I'm looking at the Amazon Prime listing now and it says 2016, so nobody knows when the hell this movie came out.
I guess we have no clue, but it doesn't really freaking matter.
No.
So we're just going to roll with it, and
That's another thing too. So if you do a Google search for like a bat out of hell, then of course what you're going to get mostly are Ozzy Osbourne hits.
Yep.
Meatloaf hits too.
That is correct.
You get a lot of mostly Meatloaf, then a few Ozzy hits.
Yep. You get a lot of damn bat out of hell covers and stuff.
Right.
Yep.
And you'll come across one that lists from IMDb that says Nowhere Else, and you were like, how the hell did this get into my search results? So when you click on it, it takes you to IMDb, and the IMDb lists it as Like a Bat Out of Hell. Now this is weird because this is the only place, like there's no Wikipedia for this because nobody made one. So
why waste the time? Right?
Yeah, this is the only place that this movie is known as something else, which doesn't make any sense because nowhere at all that I could find is it known as Nowhere Else except for on that one link, and then when you click it, it takes you to IMDb, which at that point changes it back to Like a Bat Out of Hell. So this movie just confusing from the get-go. Before you even watch it, it's confusing as shit.
Rocking a cast of 9 people.
9 people, and who are they?
Starring primarily Mr. Vernon Wells of Road Warrior and Weird Science. He's been in a few other movies. Australian actor. Cool dude. Always plays a lunatic. You'll recognize him once you look through the hair and stuff. You put a red mohawk and some shoulder pads on him, you'll realize, hey, that's the guy from Road Warrior. We got Rachel Murphy, who plays Bianca. Marco Dapper as Randy. Dan Balcaban as Jack. William Winsley as Chris. Dee Lesson as Zoe, John Reynolds as Boris, Sue Broberg as the nurse, and Lovely Carol as the green screen creature.
So you never actually see her. Yeah.
She's the bat creature.
Yeah, she got a credit for it though, so there you go.
It also is worth noting that this movie is actually based on real events, a real sighting. It's about some young surfers. They actually film surfing documentaries and were hired to go to the outback to try to catch this creature on film. And so, yes, I said film on purpose.
So it's directed by Danielle Donay. And I do want to address the based on the true story. So according to what I could find reports, it was based on a story that the director, Danielle Donay, heard of some documentary filmmakers who were out and were attacked by a bat-like creature out in the Australian outback. So he heard that story, decided to make it into a movie. So that's where the true story comes from.
Well, he tried. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he tried, yeah. So what in the film the creature is called the Oliotail. Oliotail. Couldn't find anything referenced anywhere with that name.
Should have just called it the Batwing Monkey Bird, right?
Should have called it that.
That would work.
What most likely is it based off of is a creature called the Ahool, Ahool, which is said to live actually not in Australia, but mostly in Indonesia, although it's been seen all over the world. It is said to be 3 to 4.5 times the size of the largest known bat. Has a wingspan of 18 to up to 28 feet. And it says one scientist theorized that the creature may be related to another cryptid, the Kongamato, but its description describes more of a bat-like creature than a reptile one. It may be closely related to the orangbati. It was first reported by Dr. Ernest Bartels in 1925. So that's a cryptid, and if you don't know what a cryptid is, it's a animal that is not recognized by actual science, but there are, like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, the Chupacabras,
the Snallygaster, the Yeti, the Grafton Monster. I mean, you name it.
Yeah, all of these.
The Mothman. Your favorites.
Yeah. All of these are cryptids. They belong to a offshoot of research called cryptozoology. So and while Australia has quite a bit as far as Australia has its own version of the Yeti, called the Yauman, I believe.
Crikey.
Yeah, so there's no record or there's no sightings of a giant bat-like creature, at least that I could find in Australia. So it's most likely that it's based off of this ahul. There's nothing going on regarding the oleo tail. So loosely based on that, based on what the director says is true accounts he heard. Whether it is or not, I don't know. I personally think he may have made that up to give it a sort of Blair Witch type hype, to where people want to believe it's real, and that way they want to go see the movie and see a quote-unquote true story. But that's just my opinion.
Well, that is true. And like I said, a lot of horror movies were based on or loosely based on, should we say, true events to lure people in, and then they're completely embellished. They may take one little fact and build the whole movie around it. So we do not know how much of this is actually fact, fiction, or whatever. It's just loosely based on a legend and a reported sighting.
And loosely, I think, is the prime word.
And they also said that there is no photographic evidence of said bat bird.
Correct.
So that makes it very hard to believe sometimes. But a lot of stuff you have to take on faith. Especially if you are a fan of cryptozoology. People know how hard it is to spot these creatures. So we shall see.
So before we get started with the review, let's just finish up. It's like I said, based on a quote-unquote true story. And yes, I'm doing air quotes. You can't see me. But it was distributed by Tri-Coast Worldwide and 4C Films with a budget of 5.5 million Australian, which is 3.9 million US dollars. And yeah, so I think that's about it. So let's go ahead and get started with the review.
Let's see what $3.9 million buys you this time.
Oh, good Lord.
Surf doco.
Are you interested in shooting bigger projects outside of surfing?
When do we leave?
We're finding it hard to identify them because their face had been torn off.
Not a soul for miles.
What can I do for you?
We saw a strange creature earlier today. Any idea what that was?
Why is there an axe in the outhouse?
That's for emergencies only, dear.
What is this place?
Looks like an old slaughterhouse.
I think we may have been lucky enough to see a cryptid bat.
You can never be too careful. I didn't get to finish what I wanted to tell you.
I love you.
I love you too.
Now this place is starting to freak me out.
What's that sound?
Show yourself!
Like a bat out of hell.
Like a Bat Out of Hell, a.k.a. Nowhere Else, a.k.a. Bat Out of Hell, a.k.a. What the Suck.
Yeah, that's... Dude, I'm telling you.
So this movie has 3 different names depending on where you look at it. It doesn't have a Rotten Tomatoes score. It doesn't even come up on Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes just said, fuck it.
Said, fuck
we'll
it.
pass.
Yeah, well, no thank you. We don't need this.
They have ratings on some of the most colossal bags of shit in history, but yet nothing on this particular feature. Probably because they couldn't figure out what the fucking name was.
And you looked up Vernon Wells on Rotten Tomatoes and found his filmography, and it didn't even... I mean, it includes some shit on his filmography, but it did not include this one, which...
I think he paid someone to keep it off there.
We're going to try and keep the crikeys to a minimum because we're pretty bad at the accent, but, I mean, we were saying out throughout the entire film watching this damn thing, so...
Yeah.
Alright, so the film centers around, what is it, four people that are documentary filmmakers that are just starting out as documentary filmmakers. They are starting by filming surfers.
Yes,
They
4
are
surfies.
Surf film documentaries.
Yep.
You've got Bianca, played by Rachel Murphy. You've got Jack, played by Dan Balkaban. You've got Randy, played by Marco Dapper. And you've got Chris, played by William Winsley.
You know, it's pretty bad. I have to interject real quick. It's pretty bad when they don't even have your fucking picture on here.
Yeah, that means you haven't done more than like one movie.
I think you did one and you're out.
You do not have a headshot to put onto IMDb. So it starts off with showing you a bunch of surfers on a beach in Australia, which, while it looks beautiful, is also boring. And it's a terrible way to start your movie. All you're doing is watching surfers, and like you had said, I was just waiting for Patrick Swayze or Keanu Reeves to show up.
Something to happen. Unfortunately, folks, this movie is painfully boring.
So
in a lot of areas. But yet, like I said, as we've always maintained from the get-go, watch it once. You know, at least. You know, we want you to watch these movies we're reviewing and suffer with us. You got to do it. You got to do it.
So let me go ahead and say spoilers ahead. Not that it matters. There's really nothing to spoil. I take it back. It doesn't start with the surfers. What it starts with, a terrible narration talking about some bullshit mythos or something, and then it cuts to a scene of Bianca running through a graveyard at night, carrying the camera, being chased by the creature. She trips, she falls, you see the creature's face. So they show you the creature right off the bat, pun intended.
Yes.
And it looks horrible. So it's at that point where you see it and you're like, okay, well, most movies, most creature features, you're waiting until about halfway through or the end to see what the creature looks like. It's this grand build-up. You know, it kills people here and there, but you don't see it kill them. You just see it happen, or you see a person dead. And then you get to the end, the middle of the end, and it shows up, and you're like, oh, that's what this has been building up to. Okay.
Yep.
This one says, fuck it. Let's just show you what the creature looks like off the bat. You decide if you want to keep watching or not, because after you see it, you may not want to keep watching.
That's right, because, I mean, getting chased through the Australian outback by a 5-foot-tall pile of paper mache.
4 foot tall.
Is it 4 foot tall? Excuse
4
me.
foot tall.
Too much credit given.
Yeah.
By a paper mache bat, if that.
It was horrible. Then it cuts to the title, which just says "Bat Out of Hell," which doesn't even match what I'm looking at the Amazon Prime listing right now, and it says "Like a Bat Out of Hell," but the title card just says "Bat Out of Hell." So even it doesn't know what the fuck it wants to call itself.
So basically, folks, if you want to find this movie, which we do want you to find it and watch it, I would probably be the best idea to look up Vernon Wells, look up his filmography, and see what the heck they have it listed under.
Okay.
It's, 3 different names so far?
3 different names. Is it? Let's do that right now. Is it on his IMDb? If you click on his IMDb filmography, is it listed there? That's what I want to know.
Here he is.
Because it wasn't under Rotten Tomatoes, so if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, you're not going to find it.
Filmography. I mean, he was in such winners as Commando and, like I said, The Road Warrior.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Check all
17,
filmography.
I'm going. All filmography.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of stuff lately. Damn. In the last few years, he's been busy.
Must be all from this movie. He must have kicked off his career again.
Absolutely. Let's see.
And so while he's doing that, so then it cuts to the surfers doing their surf documentary, just watching the people surf, which is fine and all that, but it's just it's beautiful, but absolutely boring, just boring. So then it cuts to an office where you see a mysterious man watching the same surf footage that we just watched, and his assistant Boris is in the room, and he's reading a book called Cryptozoology, Fact or Fictio. Not fiction, Fictio. There's no N at the end of fiction on this book, and there's no author. It's just a red book with a shitty picture, and it says Cryptozoology, Fact or Fictio. And then it cuts to them calling the four kids.
Aha!
So it's on IMDb?
Pardon the interruption, but yes, it is on his IMDb.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's listed as an actor, but he is also an associate producer of the movie.
So it's probably not easy to find it by looking up Vernon Wells. You might want to just type in Like a Bat, Outta Hell, Outta,
Yep.
and look for it that way, because otherwise it's going to take you too long to find it through his filmography.
Okay, I think we've beaten that into the ground, so we'll go on. Please continue, Chris.
So then he calls our four main cast members and tells them he has an assignment for them on the Air Coast. And he needs to go right away, and he sent them a box with a camera and some other shit. And then we are then flash forward to 10 days later. And there's a reporter talking to a doctor about a patient who was attacked in this small hospital. And their face was bitten off. The doctor then gives the reporter a camera, like the one we saw in the previous scene, and says that there's footage on it that she was going to turn into the police. So the reporter says that she will take it and turn it into the police. She then goes into her car.
And what do you think she does? What does she do, Chris?
She doesn't really take it to the police, that's for damn sure.
Doesn't take the damn popo, huh?
She takes it to her car and she starts watching it, which at this point makes it kind of a found footage film. Not really.
This footage was discovered.
Yeah, so
that pretty much counts.
And so that's the story's being told in flashback form via camera footage, but it doesn't make sense because there's no way that the reporter, Dee is her name, I guess, Dee's nuts, whatever, is getting the whole story, because she's only watching what the camera sees when they have the camera on, and they don't have the camera on the whole time. They turn it off several times, so she's not seeing the whole story. She's only seeing bits and pieces, and most of what they film is just...
But yet, by some miracle, she's able to extrapolate the entire story.
I get it. I don't get it, I guess. But...
That's not in the budget.
No, it's not.
Just had to do what they had to do.
Yeah. So it shows...
I'm pretty sure of the $5.5 million budget, about 3 of that went in Vernon's pocket.
Probably, yeah. And then the other, like, less than 1 went towards the CGI, apparently.
Yeah.
So then we're showing the 4 of them driving out to the outback to hunt this creature, and as they're driving, they have a daytime sighting on top of an old machine, and which doesn't make sense because it's a bat, so it shouldn't be out in the daytime. But
that's what I thought as well. What the hell's a bat doing out in the daytime? But
right, there's no reason for it to be out. It's bright sunlight. It's the middle of the day, and it's standing on top of a machine. But it's a very quick sighting, so you don't really see much except for like a wing flap. But then that's it. So then they arrive at this dump owned by the Vernon Wells character Simpson. Yes. And they ask him for shelter and a place to stay, and he tells them to be careful because there's all kinds of crazy animals out there, and we're also at some point around there we're also introduced to the quote unquote bat vision, which is just a shitty green filter that they apply to the first person view of the bat.
It's almost like the old Metal Gear.
Oh, yeah.
Metal Gear game, night vision goggles.
Yeah.
If you remember those, I don't know if anybody does or not, but it's real shitty, blurred, distorted.
Yeah. And I mean, this film is just, I mean, it's so boring. I mean, we're 40 minutes in and nothing has happened.
We're struggling, folks,
nothing
just to try to tell you anything of value.
I mean, you got
like you said, the first half of the movie is like, what the fuck? The
sound design is terrible. The ADR is horrible. Bianca could not
act.
She cannot act. Her reading of the script is so bad, it makes me want to stab myself in the testicles.
Yes.
There is not one single line that she reads that comes off right.
But Chris, whatever do you mean?
Just like that.
Just like that.
Where are we, guys? Why have we not gone anywhere?
Danger.
Yeah.
Bat approaching.
Very robotic.
Pretty damn stupid.
Yeah. So, they get freaked out staying at Simpson's house.
Note the stress in Chris's voice, trying to give you some kind of valuable information into this film. It's pretty damn hard.
They decide to take off first thing in the morning. They leave. They are driving back. They start running out of gas, and they end up getting out of the car and finding a single-room church in the distance, and decide to take up shelter there because it is going to be night soon. So they get up there, and some I think it's Chris, the jackass of the film, makes a comment about it being like hundreds of years old, but the church looks pretty well kept. The outside's in good condition. There's a picket fence around it that is in perfect shape. So, what made you think it was 100 years old, jackass? Yeah,
I don't know. Perfectly clean bricks.
Yeah.
The floor was clean. No dust. No cobwebs.
So the production design is pretty solid, but it's just not. It's not thought out. It's not done right. I mean, the church looks fine. It's a single room church. It looks like a regular single room church, but if it's meant to be 100 years old, they didn't do a good job of aging it any.
Yes.
It looks like they just built it like a week before they filmed the scene.
And we must not forget, they were sent into desert by the Russian KGB agent.
Yes.
Whatever the hell
Boris.
Boris.
So while they're in the church, I forgot to mention this. Chris had stolen, while they were at Simpsons, Chris stole a book. The exact same book that Boris was reading at the beginning. Simpson happens to have a copy, which is interesting. I guess they have one cryptozoology book in Australia, apparently. And Chris steals that book, and while they're in the church, they decide to read it, and that's when the whole mythology is discovered of the creature being an Outta Hell, which we spoke just a little while ago about how they made that up apparently, and it's probably based on, not only is it probably based on the Ahul cryptozoology legend, but one of the pictures in the book is a picture you'll see if you search Ahul and find it on the cryptozoology website. You'll see that exact same picture. So there's a pretty good chance that that's what they stole it from. I mean, overall, the script is really bad, and at this point, you're halfway through the movie, and you're just like wishing you could turn it off. But at the same time, you're a little bit invested because you made it halfway through, and you only have 40 minutes left, and you're like, I want to see how much worse this gets.
Yeah.
I mean, at least I was anyway.
And like I said, we're struggling with it because it's like, you want to watch it. You want to, when they say it's so bad, it's good. This is so bad, and it's not good, unfortunately.
No.
So this, like I said, this one's going to take some guts to get through, folks. Man, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I don't even recall. I was sitting here trying to watch this. I don't even recall the scene where the guy comes out of the shitter and jumps up behind the girl and then just drives the fuck off. And I do remember, like, from the first time I viewed it, when I was sitting at home, I forgot basically how mind-numbing this was.
Yeah.
And I literally looked right past some scenes. We looked past the scene where the guy jumps out of the shitter and grabs the woman. Mm-hmm. Probably because I was looking up information so I could try to find something to comment on.
Right.
Forgot the scene where he throws the rabbit in front of him. He cooks the rabbit for him. He throws the gun in their face. He does all this stuff. Sticks them in these shitty-ass trailers. Gives them keys, but yet they don't need them.
Yeah.
I mean, just small, stupid, shitty details. But, you know, I'm just... It's brutal. I'm telling you, it's brutal. It's like you said, we're having a hard time forming complete sentences here right now.
Oh, yeah. It's
So we're going to do our best to try and summarize the rest of this absolute piece of shit.
So in the church, and these bad creatures are such terrible creatures, such terrible killers, I should say.
Yes.
Because then Bianca wakes up and goes outside to start filming for whatever reason, because she's just an idiot. And you see through the night the quote-unquote bat vision that they're following her. But they don't attack her, even though she's outside of the church by herself in the open. They can easily swoop down and take her, but they don't.
No.
Instead, you see it go inside the church where the three males are sleeping in order to rip Chris's face off, which they do without him waking up, which doesn't make any sense again. Which I'm not. Again, I shouldn't ask for sense in this movie.
No, that's all out the window. But
yeah,
this is a colossal pile of garbage.
Yes, it is.
So after Chris is defaced, we end up in a couple of really shitty green screen reshoot scenes.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So Bianca comes back. They didn't attack her for whatever reason. She comes back into the church, locks it back up, and is using her camera to film the guy sleeping. And she sees Chris's face, and she screams. And the two guys wake up, and they're all talking. And all of a sudden, it just cuts to from a on location shoot to a really, really bad green screen, which is a reshoot, obviously, because, as you pointed out, all the accents are gone.
The accents are gone.
Randy's hair has gotten way longer.
Yep.
From literally 1 second to the next.
He developed a spit curl somewhere.
Yes, instead of his short little whatever hair. But and it's quite obvious that it's a green screen. It just looks bad.
Yeah.
But they're arguing for a little bit, and you see the green screen, and then it goes back to on location shoot, and Chris's hair or Randy's hair is back to being short or whatever. I don't know what they had to reshoot. I mean, it must have been super, super bad.
I have no idea, because you said they didn't even go back out on location. So
no, but that scene they reshot was terrible to begin with. So what the fuck did they cover?
Yeah, exactly. What was so shitty that they had to reshoot?
Yeah,
with the other shit.
Yeah.
You know? And then we also need to note that these actors, in quotations, are entirely too calm for three people who see their friend's face ripped off.
Yeah. And
they wake up to this, and it happened right under their noses, and they're all like, oh, gee, dude.
So they decide to take shifts. They sleep. They stay in the church with the dead body. They decide to sleep in there and take shifts to watch it. Middle of the night, they all of a sudden hear a door. Jack runs out to try to see who it is. He takes a flashlight on his head. He puts a headlamp on. And he takes off. And there's some dude who has strung up a kangaroo who's out there hunting the creature. He's out there for maybe all of 10 minutes and decides to leave. And as he's leaving, Jack runs up behind him, behind the car, screaming. And somehow this dude in the middle of nowhere, super quiet, doesn't hear another person randomly out there screaming for help.
Yes.
Again, doesn't make any sense. But again, we see through the bat vision that they're stalking Jack. And he's out there by himself now, completely all alone. And
easy pickings.
Still don't attack him.
They don't do nothing.
They don't do shit.
And we're like, come on, somebody's got to start dying here, you know. This is supposed to be a horror movie.
Yes, they're supposed to be these bat creatures that are supposed to be very lethal and very scary, and they are less efficient killers than Pennywise the Clown.
Yes, and I'm just going to say it right here. I'm going on record as saying that I think the entire legend of this creature is purely speculative.
Yeah, I think it's
pure word of mouth.
purely made up for this
And
movie.
stories and purely made up. I don't know of anybody who's had their face removed because these people who survived these encounters, they've managed to describe this creature enough, I guess, to, well, like you said, the Russian dude ends up coming out of nowhere. There was a useless scene where the Russian dude comes back and they've got a statue of this damn thing sitting in the bar.
He's in a bar getting a drink and he has
how the hell do you even know what it looks like?
He has a
never
model
been
of
photographed.
exactly what the creature looks like. So, but there's been no photographs. And yeah, the book itself has a couple of different drawings, but like the drawings that they have in there look nothing like what the creature looks like in the movie. But yet his little statue he has looks just like what the creatures look like in the movie.
Yep.
So how did he get that? Like who?
I don't know.
Doesn't make
but
sense.
Anyway, we get on down the road. I'm just like, what is his name?
Randy, Jack,
Randy. Okay, so Randy ends up basically being the only one left.
Yeah.
Jack eventually gets ripped. He's running around at night, like Chris said, and he's running around. Hey,
Eventually he gets killed.
He gets killed by the two-dimensional bat.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's discuss the bat.
The bat creature. There's two of them, by the way. Actually, there's more. We only see two, but we're told that there's a nest, and that these two are male hunters that go out and get gifts for their queen. Dear God, I hate to see what their queen looks like.
Ugh.
But these creatures look like pre-made assets that you would find on an asset store that somebody has went and bought and just inserted into this movie, and they're not even rendered. It's just they look like the way they fly is look like somebody clicked and is like moving them with the mouse and then just editing the mouse part out.
It's literally Clash of the Titans / Jason the Argonauts style claymation style effects. Like you said, it's just jerk.
That's an insult
to those classics.
Yeah, it's an insult to Ray Harryhausen, the creator of the stop motion.
Yeah, but how else can you put a visual to it?
But you're right. I mean, there's a fight scene with Randy in one of them that looks like a fight scene from Jason the Argonauts when he's fighting the skeletons. But at least like that. Even that looked more real than what these creatures were.
It's like Perseus and Calabas fighting in the swamp.
Yeah.
And Calabas is all this mechanical looking.
The Medusa from Clash of Titans looked more real than these bats did.
Indeed. And I'm sorry, but it's the truth. For 2013, the effects should have been a hell of a lot better.
I'm telling you, like I think I've seen better effects in my PlayStation 3 games.
Yes, and I'm just let's just get down to it and let's end the pain. Randy ends up in the church by himself, and Old Man Winter shows back up. Old Simpson shows up and gets attacked by this damn bat. The two-dimensional bat hiding in the chimney. Comes down, they're rolling around, and what's funny is it's a single shot breech load shotgun.
Yeah.
He points it up the chimney and fires the weapon. Next thing you know, the bat comes out, knocks the weapon out of his hand. Okay. Randy comes in, sees him struggling, and shoots said two-dimensional bat.
Where did he get the shotgun shell?
Tell me, where did he get the shell?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what it is?
So these are things that I pick up on, and I'm like, no.
I think this movie is working off of like 1960s and 70s cop film logic, where like it's a 6-shooter, but you can shoot 20 times without reloading.
Yeah, there's no ammo in Hollywood. It's just automatic.
Right. Yeah,
it's like when you were a kid and you used to play guns, and you'd be like, okay, my gun has a clip and it never runs out of bullets.
But speaking of that whole scene seemed very tacked on, and I don't mean by the fact that it was a terrible ending, and it didn't even have a resolution. It set itself up for a sequel that's never going to happen, but the whole scene felt tacked on in the fact that it was the worst green screen scene I had ever seen in my life. It's worse than George Lucas's Episode 1. Again, you can just tell it's green screen because they don't do a very good job of rendering it or sort of mixing it in with the actors to make them look less green screen. But also, Randy's hair is back to being long again.
Yep.
And it goes on. The entire end of the film is all green screen. And I get that, the bats are CGI, but there are a lot of shots where the bats were superimposed into an on-location shoot. So this ending was definitely tacked on, which means the ending they had before was worse.
How?
And they had to reshoot the whole ending.
Somebody tell me how it could be worse.
And I wish I could tell you what it was, but
there really is no ending.
There's no information.
There's no ending.
There's no information on this movie anywhere, so I couldn't tell you what the production was like. I couldn't tell you what the post-production was like. I couldn't tell you what the director thought. There's no information on this movie anywhere.
It is literally like they filmed a bunch of crap, dumped the project, somebody said, fuck it, paid to cut it, and they just threw it on film and put it out there.
Yeah.
The editing is poor, the filming is atrocious,
The
and the
script is horrible.
acting is criminal.
The acting is bad. The script is horrible. There's so many damn plot holes. There's a whole plot hole with the it's whole story with Boris, and he's at that bar with that statue and talking to a bartender, and the bartender saying, it's gonna be in your next movie, but that doesn't go anywhere. You don't see anything else after that.
Nope.
There's no mention of the mysterious figure. Boris doesn't show back up. There's no mention about whether they were making a movie or not. The reporter doesn't show back up. Just the way it ends is totally and just it's like they didn't know what to do.
I literally feel sorry for Vernon Wells. He's been in tons of movies. He's got a long career. He is a B-list actor. He's not one of your A-list type people, but he's always had some memorable roles. I hate that he's had to relegate himself to making this thing because it just ends. They get in the truck. We're going to go kill this Boston, and they climb in the damn truck and they drive off. And then you get a flyby of a bat creature once again during midday. Bats in the sunlight. I don't get it. And that was it.
I mean, the
credits roll. Pain is over.
There is nothing in this movie that is so bad it's good. And it is not even one of those movies where you can sit and make fun of because it's so boring. There's nothing to make fun of
except the shitty acting.
But even
I think you'd literally have to be high or drunk to watch this one and find any humor in the shitty acting.
You have to be on acid to even find any humor in the acting.
Because maybe the bats would look real then.
Maybe they would.
I don't know, dude.
I am going 5 shits on this. You watch it once just to get the experience, and then you go and take a shower and wash yourself with bleach. You go smoke a giant bowl of pot. You go take some acid, something to erase it. But at least go and experience it once. It is bad. The tacked on ending, the bad script, the terrible acting, the horrible CGI. There is not one redeeming factor to this movie, in my opinion. James, what do you think?
I couldn't agree more. Personally, I always think there's something worse out there, so I'm going to reserve the 5 turds. I'm going to go basically a 4.5 turd.
4.5 turds, okay.
Now, I can't give it a full 5 turd. We're just starting this thing, so a few more episodes in, we might get something that's colossally shitty. But 4.5 turds puts it even worse than Creepshow 3, which I didn't think we could get there.
Yeah.
And that's strictly on the basis of boring as hell. Mm-hmm. Takes forever. We went 40-something minutes before we saw anything of substance, really.
Right.
Then when the killings start, it was superficial and shitty and a lot of off-screen crap. We didn't get to see any faces get peeled. You basically get robbed.
Yeah, you get robbed of everything.
It's hard for me to recommend to watch this movie even once, but I am going to do it anyway because that's the whole point.
Yeah.
So, watch it once. I'd prefer you watch it drunk. Yeah. Drunk or high. That's the only way you'll probably enjoy this.
Yeah, I agree.
But shitty movies are made to be experienced one way or the other. And this is just our opinion, but it's a pretty solid one because we like some pretty shitty movies. But this one here actually was painful to watch in a lot of parts because it was just, I'm done.
I at least with Creepshow and Scary or Die, you can watch them and you can have fun making fun of them. You can have fun seeing how bad it is, and whether they were funny on purpose or not, I found a lot of humor in them. I found them to be very, very funny even in a bad way. But Creepshow kind of had that whole nostalgic thing behind it because it has the first 2, which are classics, and then you want to see how far off the beaten path this third one has gone, and it went bad. But this one doesn't have anything like that, and it has absolutely no charm. It has nothing funny. I mean, there's nothing in it that even remotely earns more than a single viewing. It's basically 1 hour and 19 minutes of never getting your life back.
And you can fast forward the first 40 minutes and not miss a thing.
And yeah, you would not be lost at all.
But I would not advise it.
No.
Experience the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just to experience it. We apologize in advance. We know it's going to hurt.
I don't apologize. I didn't make this movie. I didn't make the movie, and
Well,
we're telling you right now. If you want to see a bad movie, watch it. And if you watch and you hate it, that's your fault, not ours. So, good luck with that. So
I'm done, man.
But next week,
I'm done with this one. I don't even know what to do.
We got something fun in the pipeline for next week, so that should be fun. So until then,
absolutely,
we are on Facebook.
Yes,
at What the Suck Podcast on Facebook. We are on Castbox, and we are on Twitter as well as What the Suck Podcast, and I think we'll probably get Instagram at some point.
Probably get Instagram as well.
So so until then, I'm Chris.
And I'm James.
And good luck, guys.
Yeah, we're praying for you.
Praying for you.
Bye.